Imagine waking up one morning, and the sun isn't where it should be. Scientists are watching a massive star moving closer to our solar system. Its gravitational pull is so strong it could shift Earth from its orbit. If that happens, life as we know it could end. But how could one star, so far away, have the power to change everything? And why is it heading straight for us? Today, we will uncover the secrets of this cosmic threat and the chilling discoveries that no one expected. The sky had always been familiar to astronomers. Stars glittered in the distance, distant and calm. But one evening, something changed. A new light appeared. First it was small, barely noticeable. But then it grew, slowly moving across the black canvas of space. Scientists gave it a name, Nemesis. No one had ever seen a star like this approach our solar system. It wasn't like comets or meteors that passed in a blink. Nemesis moved steadily, as if it had a plan. Its light was strange, almost blue, pulsing with energy that instruments couldn't explain. Astronomers worldwide were baffled. How could a star, hundreds of light years away, suddenly appear so close? Calculations suggested it wasn't just passing by, it was heading toward us. Every scientist began to whisper the same terrifying possibility. Nemesis could pull Earth from its orbit. For centuries, humans believed the solar system was stable. The sun held Earth gently in its orbit. But now, that balance seemed fragile. If Nemesis came too close, the effects would be catastrophic. Oceans could rise, climates could change, entire ecosystems might collapse. People began noticing strange phenomena on Earth. Oceans swirled oddly. Tides were higher than normal, and the magnetic field fluctuated. Scientists weren't sure if Nemesis was already affecting our planet, or if it was the fear itself that made them see patterns in chaos. Astronauts on the International Space Station reported unusual readings. Electronics malfunctioned, sensors went haywire. And yet, from the ground, Nemesis looked calm, distant, almost peaceful. But looks could deceive. Then, one night, the star flickered in a way that didn't make sense. Pulses of energy shot outward like a heartbeat. Some theorized it was alive, or at least behaving as if it were. Humanity had seen stars for thousands of years, but no one had ever studied one that seemed to move with intent. Governments tried to stay calm. They reassured citizens that everything was fine. But inside top-secret labs, simulations ran day and night. Every scenario was terrifying. In some models, Earth's orbit shifted slightly, leading to freezing winters or scorching summers. In others, the planet spun too fast, or oceans overflowed, drowning coastal cities. People on social media speculated wildly. Was it a new planet, a rogue star, or something unnatural? Could it be a warning? Could it be alive? Rumors spread faster than facts. While everyone argued, scientists worked in silence, watching the sky and waiting. Then, the unthinkable happened. Instruments detected a pull Earth was subtly shifting. Not enough to panic the public yet, but enough to alarm scientists. Gravity had begun to whisper. The star wasn't just approaching, it was interacting. It was testing the limits of our solar system, and that was only the beginning. The night sky had always been predictable. Stars twinkled, planets moved in careful paths, and the sun rose and set like clockwork. But now, everything felt different. Nemesis was no longer just a dot in the distance. Its pull on the solar system was subtle, but undeniable. Satellites began to report anomalies. Small asteroids changed their path slightly, veering in ways that were not explained by the suns. Gravity alone. The moon itself seemed to wobble, imperceptibly, but measurably. Scientists called it the first whisper of chaos. On Earth, strange weather began to appear. Storms emerged in regions that had never seen them before. Hurricanes spun further, inland. Tornadoes appeared in countries that had never known them. Rivers rose and fell in unnatural patterns. Farmers looked at the skies nervously. Unsure if these changes were coincidence or something worse, in laboratories, scientists examined the data. Every calculation, every simulation, led to the same horrifying possibility. If Nemesis approached too closely, Earth could be nudged off its orbit. Even a tiny shift could change the planet's climate dramatically. Some models predicted ice ages, while others suggested heat waves that could last decades. Astronomers were divided. Some believed Nemesis was a natural star, a rare rogue wandering the galaxy. Others whispered of something more. Its behavior was too precise, too intentional. Stars did not move in straight lines toward other star systems, unless something or someone was guiding them. Meanwhile, ordinary people began to notice subtle changes. Birds migrated at odd times. Fish populations in rivers fluctuated. The tides were unpredictable, creating anxiety in coastal towns. Scientists warned that these signs were just early warnings, small effects of Nemesis' gravitational pull, but the public feared the worst. Television screens filled with discussions. News anchors spoke of distant dangers, but no one could truly explain what was happening. Governments began quietly preparing. Emergency response teams were put on alert. Cities checked flood defenses. Some wealthy individuals even invested in private bunkers, unsure what a star could do if it came to end. Close, in the skies above, satellites tracked Nemesis with growing urgency. Its light pulsed in ways that no one fully understood. The frequency of the pulses sometimes matched the Earth's own magnetic field fluctuations. Scientists wondered, was the star influencing our planet? Or was it merely coincidence? Astronauts on the International Space Station felt the first tangible effect. Their instruments detected small but measurable gravitational shifts. Equipment floated slightly differently. Even simple experiments in physics behaved strangely. Some crew members joked nervously that they felt the Earth moving under them. But there was truth behind the humor. Then came the first warning from the sun itself. Solar flares, usually predictable, erupted violently. Streams of charged particles struck Earth, disrupting satellites and communications. The sun seemed restless, almost as if it sensed Nemesis approaching. In one lab, Dr. Alina Morales stared at her monitors in disbelief. "It's not just Earth," she whispered. "The entire inner solar system is reacting." Her fingers flew across the keyboard as simulations ran in real time. Each result was more alarming than the last. If Nemesis moved closer, the pull could displace Mars, maybe even Venus, and Earth might be pushed into a new, unstable orbit. The public remained mostly unaware of the severity. Officials hoped to keep panic at bay while scientists scrambled to understand the threat. But leaks began to appear online. Strange anomalies in satellite data, unexplained weather events, mysterious pulses of energy. Social media exploded with speculation and fear. One night, while staring through a massive telescope, Dr. Morales noticed something she could not explain. Nemesis wasn't alone. Smaller objects seemed to orbit it, strange bodies unlike anything catalogued. They glimmered faintly, and their paths were precise. Almost as if Nemesis had companion satellites or guardians guiding it toward Earth. A chill ran down her spine. Star didn't need companions. Stars didn't plan. But the evidence suggested Nemesis was unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. And then the first quake hit. A minor tremor, barely enough to register on the Richter scale. It occurred at the exact moment instruments detected a surge in Nemesis' gravitational pull. Scientists held their breath. The planet itself was responding. It was only the beginning. By now, the world could no longer ignore the signs. Nemesis was no longer a distant threat, was moving closer, faster than expected. Scientists watched in awe and terror as their calculations revealed that Earth's orbit had already shifted, just enough to change tides, climates, and the rhythm of life itself in the northern hemisphere. Winter arrived late, but with unusual ferocity. Snowstorms dumped meters of snow in regions unprepared for it. Rivers overflowed, roads were buried, people were stranded. Meanwhile, in the southern hemisphere, summers burned with unusual heat. Forest fires raged across continents. Farmers lost entire crops. The subtle push of Nemesis was no longer theoretical. It had begun to shape life on Earth. Satellites continued to falter. Some spiraled off course entirely, crashing into the atmosphere. Communication networks struggled. Air Traffic faced unprecedented disruptions. Governments scrambled to maintain stability. But even the most advanced technology seemed powerless against the star's pull. Dr. Alina Morales spent every waking hour in her observatory. She and her team tracked Nemesis as if it were alive. Its energy pulses were becoming stronger, more frequent. They could see subtle effects on Earth's magnetic field, oceans, and even the rotation of the planet. Every shift made their calculations more urgent, and then the first shockwave arrived. It was subtle at first, a faint vibration running through. The ground felt mostly in scientific instruments. But then came reports from cities. People described a hum in the air. A vibration that made their teeth chatter and their stomachs lurch. Animals panicked. Birds dropped from the sky, and fish leaped from rivers and lakes. The energy pulses from Nemesis were no longer distant. They reached into the very atmosphere, creating storms and phenomena that no one could explain. Lightning struck in unusual patterns. Tornadoes formed where there was no reason for them. Glowing clouds shimmered in impossible colors. Humanity had never witnessed anything like it. Meanwhile, smaller celestial bodies continued to act strangely. Asteroids and comets shifted course, moving as if guided. Scientists speculated that Nemesis was not acting alone. Perhaps the star had companions or a force that followed it, shaping the solar system in preparation for something much larger. Dr. Morales watched the simulations with mounting horror. The models suggested that if Nemesis continued on its path, Earth could be nudged far enough from the sun to disrupt life itself. Even a minor shift could make summers unendurable or winters deadly. Food supplies could fail. Oceans might rise or fall dramatically. And that was just the beginning. The public remained largely unaware, mesmerized by the extraordinary auroras and colorful skies. Few realized that what they were witnessing was not natural beauty. It was a signal, a pulse, a warning from a star that was moving closer every hour. In laboratories across the globe, scientists debated humanity's options. Could humanity redirect a star? Could some form of technology repel Nemesis? The question seemed almost absurd. A single star had more mass than anything humans had ever imagined controlling. Attempts at communication had failed. Signals sent toward the star returned. No response? Then came the first real collision with Nemesis influence. A major power grid in Europe failed entirely, plunging millions into darkness. Water systems shut down. Hospitals struggled to function. Panic began to spread as people realized that the star's pull was not just theoretical light, had real consequences. Astronomers made an even more alarming discovery. Nemesis pulses were increasing in frequency. Each surge was stronger than the last, bending the paths of celestial objects and amplifying the effects on Earth. Scientists feared that the star was not just a natural phenomenon it might be observing, testing, and adjusting its approach based on the reactions it caused. Meanwhile, earthquakes began to appear in unusual regions. Minor tremors shook cities far from fault lines. The planet itself seemed to be responding to Nemesis, as if Earth were a living entity being nudged out of balance. Coastal cities braced for rising tides. Meteorologists struggled to predict storms that appeared in impossible locations. Dr. Morales sat back, exhausted, staring at the images of Nemesis pulsing in the sky. "It's coming," she whispered. "And I don't think we can stop it." By this point, humanity could no longer deny the reality. Nemesis was no longer a distant celestial visitor. Its presence was felt everywhere through the skies, the oceans, and even beneath the ground. Scientists warned that every pulse, every surge of energy, was nudging Earth closer to catastrophe. The first major evidence came in the form of earthquakes. Cities across the globe, some far from any fault lines, shook violently. Buildings swayed, roads cracked, bridges collapsed. In the Himalayas, avalanches roared down mountainsides. Entire neighborhoods were buried under sudden landslides. People panicked, unsure whether the Earth itself was angry or if something far larger was at work. Meanwhile, the oceans responded violently. Massive tsunamis rose without warning, battering coastal cities in Asia, Africa, and the Americas. Tides became unpredictable, with waves taller than skyscrapers striking ports and beaches. Scientists confirmed that the gravitational pull from Nemesis, though subtle, was enough to move entire oceans. Water, a force once considered tame, now obeyed the star. In the skies, the auroras had become a permanent phenomenon. Colors never seen before shimmered over every continent: crimson, indigo, violet, and silver. They pulsed rhythmically, in sync with Nemesis's heartbeat. Ordinary people were captivated, taking pictures and posting online, unaware of the danger behind the beauty. Scientists, however, knew better. Every pulse sent waves of energy into Earth's magnetic field, subtly altering life on the planet. Satellites and space stations continued to suffer failures. Instruments spun out of control, making observations almost impossible. Astronauts reported a strange sensation. Earth itself seemed lighter, subtly lifting from its usual gravitational pull. The star's approach was altering more than the orbit, was affecting the planet's very structure. Dr. Elena Morales worked tirelessly with her team, analyzing Nemesis' every movement. Each pulse was now stronger, each surge more powerful. Simulations showed that if the star came even closer, Earth could be pushed far enough from the sun to experience catastrophic climate shifts. Summers could scorch continents, winters could freeze oceans, entire ecosystems were at risk. And yet, Nemesis' influence went beyond physics. Strange anomalies appeared in the sky, small objects moving with precision, visible currents in the air, faint glowing trails in remote forests and mountains. It was as if the star was sending signals, testing the planet in ways humans could barely detect. Some scientists whispered of a terrifying thought. Nemesis was intelligent, observing humanity, shaping Earth like clay. Meanwhile, ordinary life continued, fragile and unaware. People stared at the northern lights, awed by their beauty. Children played under skies of violet and silver auroras, oblivious to the deadly forces at work. Governments tried to maintain calm, issuing reassurances that the situation was under control, even as their best scientists warned otherwise. Then came the first undeniable disaster linked to the star. A small island nation experienced unprecedented flooding. Entire towns vanished beneath the rising seas. Emergency responders worked frantically, but the waves were unpredictable, moving in patterns no one could anticipate. Scientists confirmed that the gravitational influence of Nemesis had created these surges. Humanity had no defense, and still the star's pulse increased. Every 24 hours the rhythm grew stronger, bending the planet's orbit slightly more. Dr. Morales realized that Nemesis was not just a star, it was an agent of change. It was testing the limits of Earth, its oceans, its atmosphere, its magnetic field, and, most importantly, humanity's ability to adapt. Electric grids continued to fail, communications were unreliable, and even compasses became useless. People felt a subtle vibration in the air, like the world itself was awakening. The planet responded to the star's pull, moving in a rhythm no one could fully understand. Humanity was at the mercy of a force far older and far stronger than anything ever known. And then, for the first time, Nemesis appeared almost within reach. Even through telescopes, its pulsing blue light seemed closer, sharper, more intense. Scientists held their breath. Every calculation pointed to the same terrifying conclusion. If the star kept approaching, Earth's orbit could be shifted beyond recognition. And there was no technology on the planet capable of stopping it. The world had changed. In every corner of the planet, people felt a tan, invisible force tugging at Earth, bending its oceans, shifting its orbit, altering the rhythm of life. Nemesis was no longer a distant star. It glowed in the sky like a warning, a pulse of energy so strong that even the sun seemed to flicker in its presence. Dr. Elena Morales stared at the monitors, exhausted, yet unable to look away. Every screen showed new anomalies, tides rising unexpectedly, storms intensifying. Beyond prediction, strange objects orbiting the planet, magnetic fields surging in violent bursts. Nemesis was closer than ever, and every pulse carried more power than before. On Earth, natural disasters had become routine. Coastal cities were partially underwater, forests had burned, rivers had changed course, and deserts had spread into areas that once thrived. Humanity struggled to maintain order. Governments issued emergency alerts, but chaos simmered beneath the surface. People whispered about the star. Some claimed to see strange shapes in the auroras, as if Nemesis were alive, observing them. Satellites continued to fail. Communications broke down. Air travel was impossible. Scientists scrambled to gather any information, but the data was overwhelming. Nemesis pulses affected everything from electronic circuits to the flow of rivers. Earth itself seemed to respond, vibrating slightly, as if the planet were aware of the approaching star. Then came the moment no one had expected. A massive pulse of energy, larger than any before, struck the planet. Lights flickered across continents. Electrical grids collapsed. Oceans surged violently. People felt the air thrum with invisible energy. Animals fled, sensing danger that humans could not yet understand. Dr. Morales watched in horror as simulations showed Earth's orbit shifting ever so slightly. Just enough. The sun's warmth moved differently across the globe. Winters deepened. In the north, while equatorial regions scorched, humanity had survived, but the delicate balance of life on Earth had begun to tilt. And yet, Nemesis did not move closer after that pulse. It seemed to pause, hovering on the edge of the solar system, its blue glow pulsing rhythmically. Scientists could not explain why. Some speculated that the star was intelligent, testing humanity's resilience. Others whispered darker theories that Nemesis had a purpose beyond observation, something that humanity could not comprehend. People on Earth began to notice subtle changes in themselves. Clocks ran slightly differently. Compasses spun erratically. Even the flow of water seemed unpredictable. The world itself had been marked by Nemesis's presence. Life would never be the same. Dr. Morales turned to her team. "We've survived the pulses," she said, "but this isn't over. Nemesis is still out there, and whatever it is, it's not finished with us." In the night sky, the auroras glimmered with unprecedented brilliance. People across the globe stopped to watch, mesmerized by the colors violet, crimson, indigo, silver, all pulsing in sync with the star. Some whispered prayers. Others stared in awe. Few realized the danger. Few understood that the star was not just a light in the sky, but a force capable of changing the very orbit of the planet. And then, for the first time, Nemesis seemed almost within reach. Its blue light dominated the horizon, glowing brighter than ever. Scientists calculated that another pulse was imminent, one that could either stabilize the planet or push it further toward disaster. Humanity waited, holding its collective breath. No one knew what Nemesis wanted. Was it testing Earth? Warning it? Or was it simply a force of nature, so massive and ancient that human minds could not comprehend its actions? The answer remained unknown. By now, Nemesis had become more than just a star in the sky. It was a presence, an unseen force tugging at the solar system with a power that was impossible to ignore. Scientists could feel it in their instruments, in the fluctuations of gravity, in the subtle misalignment of planets. Every day brought new warnings. But no one could predict what would happen next. Dr. Alina Morales worked late into the night. Her eyes were tired, red-rimmed from staring at the monitors that tracked Nemesis' approach. Data streamed in constantly gravitational readings, electromagnetic pulses, unusual particle emissions, and then something new appeared. A pulse. The pulse wasn't like anything recorded before. It spread across space in waves, reaching Earth in patterns that matched the planet's rotation. Instruments detected a heartbeat, a rhythm, almost alive. It wasn't light or sound exactly, but energy moving in a pattern that seemed intentional. Some scientists whispered that Nemesis was communicating. Others said it was testing the solar system, probing for weakness. Meanwhile, the effects on Earth grew. Tides became unpredictable. Rivers swelled overnight. Animals behaved strangely, sensing danger that humans could not yet understand. Migratory birds flew off course. Fish vanished from lakes and seas. Even insects appeared confused, swarming in unusual patterns. People called it coincidence, but scientists feared a direct connection. Satellites in orbit began to fail one by one. Their sensors overheated or went haywire. The International Space Station reported subtle but alarming shifts in its trajectory. Astronauts noted a feeling of weightlessness that wasn't normal, as if Earth itself were being nudged on. Then, something truly disturbing happened. A meteor shower appeared in the night sky. Not random, but coordinated. The meteors seemed to orbit an invisible path, moving as if guided by some unseen hand. Dr. Morale's team ran simulations. They realized that Nemesis pulse might be influencing small objects in the solar system, pushing them along precise trajectories. Governments were notified, but panic was carefully avoided in public. The military and space agencies began secret contingency planning. Evacuations were considered, though no one could imagine moving millions of people, even if Earth's orbit shifted slightly, in homes around the world. People noticed subtle changes. In time, clocks appeared slightly off. The sun rose a few seconds earlier or later. Shadows shifted unpredictably. These were small effects, imperceptible to most, but to the observant eye, Earth was clear. Earth was responding to a force beyond comprehension. Dr. Morales stared at her screen in disbelief. The pulse from Nemesis wasn't constant. It surged, then faded, then surged again. Each wave seemed stronger than the last, and each left subtle changes in the solar system's alignment. She realized that the star was not only approaching Earth, it was shaping the entire inner solar system, nudging planets, asteroids, and moons, as if they were pieces on a cosmic board. Then came the breakthrough and the horror. Using advanced simulations, the team discovered a pattern in the pulses. Nemesis was not random. It had a rhythm, almost like a code. If humanity could decode it, perhaps they could understand the star's intent. Or maybe they would only confirm what their instincts already whispered. Nemesis was coming for Earth. Outside, the sky glimmered with new colors. Northern and southern lights danced unpredictably, pulsing in sync with the star's energy waves. Ordinary people were captivated, unaware of the danger. Some called it beautiful, magical. Others feared it, sensing a primal warning that no science could fully explain. And then, the first undeniable sign of contact. A comet-like object, larger than any asteroid previously observed, changed course. It moved as if pushed by an invisible hand, aiming toward the inner solar system. Scientists calculated its trajectory in disbelief. It could collide with Mars or even come closer to Earth. "Doctor," Morales whispered to her assistant, "it's testing us, or warning us." But there was no time to debate. The pulse surged again, stronger than before, and instruments across the world began to record unprecedented energy spikes. Power grids flickered. Communications stuttered. People felt the air thrum with an unseen force. Some astronomers speculated that Nemesis was not just a star, but a sentient presence soar, at least influenced by something intelligent. Its movement, its pulses, its ability to alter the paths of celestial objects, it all suggested purpose. If this was intentional, then humanity was being observed, studied, or even manipulated. By now, the world could no longer ignore the signs. Nemesis was no longer just a distant star. Its influence reached Earth itself, subtle at first, then undeniable. Scientists and governments scrambled to understand the magnitude of the threat, while ordinary people began sensing a change in the air. The tides, and even the very rhythm of life around them. In the Arctic, glaciers shifted unexpectedly. Icebergs broke free from their moorings without warning. Ocean currents swirled violently, creating storms far stronger than any meteorologist had predicted. Satellite images showed strange, glowing streaks moving across the polar sky's energy waves. Sent by Nemesis, invisible to the naked eye, but recorded by sensitive instruments. Cities near the coast felt it first. Tides rose, then fell, then rose again in patterns that defied reason. Rivers flooded unexpectedly, washing away roads and bridges. Officials scrambled to issue warnings, but the phenomena moved faster than any forecast could predict. Citizens were frightened. People described a strange vibration in the ground, a hum in the air that made sleep impossible. Animals reacted first, running from danger humans could not see. Birds fled entire cities. Dogs and cats hid in corners, ears pressed flat, growling at the unseen. Meanwhile, scientists were running simulations day and night. Dr. Elena Morales and her team realized that Earth's orbit had already begun to shift perceptibly, but measurably. Every pulse from Nemesis nudged the planet slightly closer to or farther from the sun. Some models predicted that if the star came any closer, the tilt of Earth's axis could change, leading to catastrophic climate effects. Summers could become unbearable. Winters could freeze entire continents. Electric grids began to falter. Power surges were recorded across Asia, Europe, and the Americas. Cities plunged into darkness for hours at a time. Transportation networks faltered. Aircraft were grounded due to unexpected turbulence in the upper atmosphere, caused by subtle shifts in gravity and magnetic fields. Governments began mobilizing emergency response units, though even they could not fully predict what would happen next, and then the sky itself began to change. During one clear night, ordinary citizens saw it first. Nemesis light pulsing in rhythm with Earth's own magnetic field. Northern lights expanded farther than ever before, glowing in colors no one had ever seen: deep indigo, vivid crimson, and shimmering silver. The auroras danced with a pattern, almost like a message. A warning from a star whose motives were unknown. Dr. Morales studied the pulses carefully. "It's not just gravitational," she said, voice tense. "Nemesis is sending energy waves directly into the Earth. It's interacting with our magnetic field. Every pulse shifts our planet just a little bit. If it continues, it could destabilize everything." Meanwhile, satellite footage revealed something more alarming. Small objects, previously unnoticed, began to move in strange patterns. Rocks and debris in space seemed to orbit Nemesis in perfect alignment, almost as if they were coordinated scouts, observing, recording, perhaps even preparing the way for the star's arrival. People on the ground felt a creeping sense of unease. Some described headaches, nausea, and vertigo. Others noticed compasses spinning wildly, electronic devices malfunctioning without explanation. Scientists realized that Nemesis pulses were not just gravitational, they were electromagnetic, altering matter itself. In one dramatic incident, a research vessel in the Pacific reported sudden waves taller than skyscrapers, yet no storm had formed. Dr. Morales' team linked the event to a surge in Nemesis energy pulse. The star's pull on the solar system was causing tidal fluctuations never before seen in Earth's history. Coastal towns were evacuated, but the speed of the waves left little time for preparation. Governments considered desperate measures. Could humanity move a planet? Could nuclear devices or gravitational manipulation disrupt the star's path? The questions were terrifying and the answers unclear. Then came the most unsettling discovery. The pulses were increasing in intensity, not gradually, but in sudden bursts. Each surge was stronger than the last, and Earth was beginning to respond in ways no model had predicted. Scientists began to fear the unthinkable. What if Nemesis was intelligent? What if it knew exactly how to manipulate Earth's orbit and test the planet's resilience? And in the midst of all this, the public remained mostly unaware. Ordinary people stared at the night sky, captivated by the dazzling auroras and mysterious glow. They had no idea that the light in the heavens was not beauty. It was a warning.